What can you do in 18 seconds? Butter a piece of toast? Tell your kids you love them. Maybe solve a few simple math problems. 18 seconds is not a lot of time. In fact, by the time I get to the end of this sentence, I'll have talked for about 18 seconds and I haven't said very much. And neither could you if someone interrupted you. And yet, classic studies tell us that's about how much time patients have in an initial medical consultation with a physician. 18 seconds to tell a story. 18 seconds to tell their story before they get diagnosed, providing comfort and advice. Now, I don't want this to sound like all doctors are incompetent or doctors never listen. As a son of a physician, I truly believe that healthcare professionals of all stripes want to first do no harm and clearly care about their patients' well-being. The fact is that the same tendency that drives physicians to interrupt their patients drives us all. We live in a society that's talk first, one that values quick decision-making over thoughtful discernment. The fear is, if left to their own devices, people will talk all day. If you've ever said something like, "I don't have time for this," when someone's speaking, what they hear is, "I don't have time for you. You're not valued." And if you're in the people business, you can't afford that interpretation. So what can you do? I truly believe that you can listen your way to effective conversations between colleagues, friends, coworkers, employees, and business partners. First, a caveat. You can't always listen to your fullest. And when you can't, you have to be honest. Ask for permission to table the conversation until you have the time to give it your full attention. In all of your conversations, vow to listen more than you speak until you can get that balance to 80% listening, 20% speaking. And this is going to be hard for some people. In fact, especially because I'm going to suggest not to increase your listening more than 1 to 2% per day until it becomes natural. Because if it feels forced to you, it'll feel forced to the other person. So how do you get to 80% listening? There's 2 behaviors I want to talk about. The first one is questions. Now, when you're listening, you should be doing all sorts of behaviors. Facially, gesturally, saying uh-huh, yeah, and right, as well as asking small questions like, oh, really? And what else? In addition, you should be asking longer, open-ended questions. Things that invite the other person to answer in their own language. Things like, I hear you have a concern. Can you tell me more? The second behavior I want to talk about is paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is repeating back to the other person what you think you heard. And that's important. Listening for the story told, not the story you want to hear. Paraphrasing goes something like, so what I hear you're saying is that you're concerned about your child's safety. Is that right? When you ask, is that right, at the end of the paraphrase, it suggests that you're open to alternative explanations. Listening is not easy business. We live in a society that teaches us to rush things, that teaches us to speak toward an effective conversation. I invite you to listen toward an effective conversation.